Blood Meridian, Part 1. Blood Meridian of Suits. A novel. Part 1. The Fall. Plumber. A dead man's voice. They will tell you I was guilty. They will show you documents, clean, crisp, notarized documents bearing my signature, my company's seal, my fingerprints on every line that mattered. They will show you wire transfers, shell accounts, a paper trail so perfectly constructed that even I, standing inside it, could not find the exit. They will tell you the jury deliberated for 11 hours. What they will not tell you is that the verdict was decided before the trial began, before the opening statements, before I even chose my attorney, or rather, before my attorney was chosen for me. My name is Marcus Vane. I was a logistics consultant. I had a company, a wife, a daughter who liked to draw horses on the backs of receipts. I had a best friend of 22 years named Daniel Cho, who I trusted with my life. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was believing that the system, the courts, the federal agents, the men in expensive suits who sit in marble buildings and speak of justice, that any of it was designed to protect people like me. It wasn't. It was designed to protect itself. What I am about to tell you begins in a courtroom in Washington, D.C. and ends, well, that depends on your definition of ending. Some stories don't end. They just change shape. Like water finding a new river after the old one runs dry. I was a dead man when this story began. I am something else now. Let me show you how it happened. Chapter 1. The Verdict. Washington, D.C., October. The courtroom smelled like lies and expensive cologne. Marcus Vane sat at the defense table and watched the jury file in. 12 faces carefully emptied of expression. 12 people who had already decided everything 3 days ago in a room he would never see. He knew this because Senator Harlow's assistant had told him so, quietly over a payphone in Georgetown, the kind of call that left no trace and no comfort. His attorney, Raymond Fitch, leaned close.
"Don't react,"
Fitch murmured.
"Whatever they say, don't react."
You knew, Marcus said, without moving his lips.
"Marcus,"
Fitch said. You knew the verdict before we walked in this morning, Marcus said. Fitch straightened his cufflinks. Italian, gold. The kind of cufflinks a man buys when someone else is paying his bills.
"I did what I could,"
Fitch said. Whose money bought those cufflinks, Raymond? Marcus asked. Fitch said nothing. The judge entered. Everyone rose. The jury foreman was a retired school teacher from Alexandria named Gerald Pruitt. He had kind eyes and liver-spotted hands, and he read the verdict the way a man reads a grocery list, with the mild guilt of someone who knows the milk is expired, but buys it anyway.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Marcus Vane, guilty on all counts,
Pruitt said. Marcus didn't react. He thought about Elena, the way she'd looked at him the last time through the glass at the detention center. Not with love, not anymore, but with something worse. Recognition. As if she finally understood what kind of world she'd married into, and what kind of man had let it happen. He thought about their daughter, Sophie, who was 7, and who would grow up visiting her father in a federal facility until she was old enough to stop coming. He thought about the night 18 months ago, when 2 men from the Justice Department had sat across from him in his own kitchen and told him that his business partner, his oldest friend, had been feeding information to a trafficking network that stretched from Lagos to Rotterdam to the port of Baltimore, and that Marcus's signature was on every document they needed to bury them both. He thought about how he'd believed them. That was the mistake that cost him everything. Not the betrayal, the belief. Outside on the courthouse steps, a woman in a gray coat was watching him be led to the transport vehicle. She wasn't press. She wasn't a spectator. She had the stillness of someone who has already calculated 3 moves ahead. Their eyes met for exactly 2 seconds. She mouthed something he couldn't hear through the noise of the crowd. He read it anyway.
I know who did this.
Nadia mouthed. Chapter 2. The Library. Federal Correctional Institution, Cumberland, Maryland. 14 months later. The prison library was empty at 6 a.m., except for Marcus and a corrections officer named Briggs, who read the same hunting magazine every morning and never looked up. Marcus had used those 14 months well. He had read everything the library held on international trade law, maritime shipping routes, shell corporation structures, and the offshore banking systems of the Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, and the Isle of Man. He had done this quietly, methodically, the way a man sharpens a blade in the dark. He was reading a 1998 Senate subcommittee report on West African port corruption when the man sat down across from him. The man had no visitor badge. He had no appointment. He had a face Marcus had never seen, angular, pale, with the careful blankness of someone trained to be forgettable. He set a photograph on the table between them. It was the woman in the gray coat.
Her name is Nadia Reyes.
Cole said.
She was a federal prosecutor in Miami, past tense.
What happened to her? Marcus asked.
She found the same thing you found. She just found it faster.
Cole said. Marcus looked at the photograph. Nadia Reyes had intelligent eyes and a scar along her jaw that hadn't been there at the courthouse. He could tell because it was still pink and raised in this photograph, still fresh. Who are you? Marcus asked.
Someone who needs what you know.
Cole said. I don't know anything. That was established in a court of law, Marcus said. Cole almost smiled. You know the name your partner whispered to you the night before he disappeared. You know because I've read the transcript of every conversation you had with your attorney. The real transcript, not the one filed with the court, Cole said. The air in the library shifted. Briggs turned a page of his magazine. That transcript would require someone inside the bureau, Marcus said slowly.
Yes,
Cole said. Which means you're either Justice Department or you're the people who own the Justice Department, Marcus said.
those are not always different things.
Cole said. Marcus looked at the photograph again, at the scar, at the eyes. What do you want from me? Marcus asked. Cole reached into his jacket and placed a second item on the table. A burner phone, already powered on.
In 6 days, you're going to be transferred to a minimum security facility in Pennsylvania. Except, you won't arrive.
Cole said. You're going to help me escape, Marcus said.
We're going to help you disappear,
Cole said.
There's a difference. Escape means they look for you. Disappear means they already think you're dead.
He was halfway to the door when Marcus spoke again. The name, Marcus said. The one my partner whispered to me. If I give it to you, what happens to the people it leads to? Cole paused. He did not turn around.
That depends entirely on how much of yourself you're willing to lose,
Cole said. He walked out. Briggs turned another page. Marcus picked up the photograph and looked at Nadia Reyes for a long time. The scar, the eyes, the 2 words she'd mouthed on the courthouse steps 14 months ago.
I know who did this.
Nadia had mouthed. She'd survived long enough to get that scar. Maybe long enough to help him burn everything down. Chapter 3. Lagos. Lagos, Nigeria. 6 days later. The container ship was called the Madeleine Star, and it smelled of diesel, rust, and something older and darker that Marcus did not let himself name. He had been below deck for 31 hours. Cole had arranged everything with the precision of someone who had done this before, many times before. A forged death certificate. A guard on the transport van who looked the other way at a rest stop outside Hagerstown. A car waiting 2 blocks north. A series of motels paid in cash under names that didn't exist. And finally, a cargo berth on a freight line running Baltimore to Lagos with a layover in Dakar. Cole had been waiting on the dock in Baltimore.
You look terrible,
Cole said, handing him a passport. I've been in federal prison for 14 months, Marcus replied. What's your excuse? Cole didn't smile.
In Lagos, you're a consulting engineer named James Okufor. You speak some Yoruba. I know you don't, so don't try. Your contact there is a woman named Amara. She knows the port, she knows the system, and she knows who owns it.
Cole said. Who owns it? Marcus asked.
Someone whose name you already have.
Cole said.
Someone whose name your partner whispered.
Marcus said nothing.
Say it.
Cole said quietly.
Out loud, so we both know we're talking about the same man.
Marcus looked out at the harbor. Cranes moving in the grey pre-dawn light. Containers stacked like a child's blocks, each one containing something the world needed, or something the world shouldn't have. Castellan, Marcus said. Victor Castellan. Cole nodded once, slowly.
Then you understand why we need to be very careful, and why this is not going to be quick.
Cole said. How long? Marcus asked.
As long as it takes,
Cole said. He picked up his bag.
Victor Castellan controls 17 legislators across 4 countries, owns 3 federal judges outright, and has had 11 people killed in the last 2 years who came close to what you know. He is not a man you rush.
Who is he? Marcus asked. Really? Cole paused at the edge of the dock.
He's the man your government uses to do the things your government cannot be seen doing.
Cole said.
He's been doing it for 30 years. He is beloved in Washington. He is beloved in Brussels. He has a foundation that feeds children in 6 African nations.
A pause.
He also ships those children,
Cole said. The words landed like stones in cold water. Marcus felt the ground tilt beneath him. Not physically, but something interior. Some last assumption about how the world worked giving way beneath the weight of what he'd just heard. Then why haven't you stopped him? Marcus asked.
Because we couldn't prove it.
Cole said.
Until now. Until you.
Now, 31 hours later, the Madeleine Star was navigating the Bight of Benin, and Marcus was sitting on a coiled rope in the dark, reading the file Cole had left him. 300 pages, printed small, detailing the architecture of a machine so vast and so carefully constructed that he needed 2 hours just to understand the table of contents. At the center of everything, Victor Castellan. 61 years old, former CIA station chief, Nairobi, 1987 to 1993. Founder and CEO of Meridian Global Consulting. Donor to 14 presidential campaigns. Personal friend of 3 sitting Supreme Court justices. And running, through a network of shell companies in the Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, and Lagos, a trafficking operation that moved approximately 4,000 people per year across 4 continents. Marcus closed the file. He sat in the dark of the cargo hold and thought about Daniel Cho, his partner of 12 years, who had stumbled onto this same information and had come to him one night 3 months before his disappearance, sitting across the kitchen table with a glass of whiskey he couldn't drink, saying,
"Marcus, I need to tell you something.
Daniel said.
And after I tell you, I need you to forget I told you. And if something happens to me, remember the name Castellan."
Daniel said. 3 months later, Daniel Cho was dead. Officially, a car accident on Route 50. No other vehicles involved. No skid marks. And Marcus Vane was in federal prison. The ship groaned and shifted as they rounded a headland. Through a gap in the hull plating, Marcus could see the first gray light of the West African dawn. He had nothing left to lose. His wife was divorcing him. His daughter was being raised by a woman who no longer believed in him. His company was seized. His name was synonymous with the trafficking network he'd known nothing about. But he had a name. And he had 14 months of furious, silent, meticulous preparation. And somewhere in Lagos, a woman named Amara was waiting. Chapter 4. Amara. Lagos, Nigeria, the next morning. The port of Lagos, at 6 in the morning, was a city within a city. A roaring, diesel-choked metropolis of cranes and containers and men moving with the purposeful urgency of people who understood that time was money and money was survival. Amara was leaning against a yellow taxi at the edge of Gate 7, wearing a white linen shirt and the expression of someone who has been waiting longer than she agreed to. She was younger than Marcus expected. Late 30s, perhaps, angular face, eyes that moved the way a chess player's eyes move, not at what is, but at what comes next.
"You're late,"
Amara said in English, without warmth. "There was a storm off Dakar," Marcus said.
"There's always a storm off Dakar,"
Amara said. She looked him over the way a doctor examines a patient whose chart she's already read.
"You look worse than your photograph,"
Amara said. "I've heard that twice in a week. I'm starting to believe it," Marcus said. She opened the taxi door.
"Get in. We have a meeting in 2 hours, and you need to not smell like a cargo ship,"
Amara said. They drove through Lagos toward a neighborhood Marcus couldn't identify. Dense, residential, the kind of place that didn't appear on tourist maps. Amara drove with one hand on the wheel and spoke without looking at him.
"Cole briefed me on what you know.
Amara said.
Castellan's operation runs through 4 companies here in Lagos. On paper, they're logistics contractors, freight clearance, customs facilitation. They facilitate, yes, but not freight."
Amara added. "How long have you been watching them?" Marcus asked.
3 years.
Amara said. "And?" Marcus asked.
And nothing.
Amara said. Her jaw tightened.
Because the man who runs the Lagos operation, a man named Emeka Bello, owns 6 members of the state legislature, 2 federal judges, and the deputy commissioner of police.
She glanced at him.
You want to know who owns Emeka Bello?
Amara asked. "Castellan," Marcus said.
Castellan.
Amara confirmed.
Everything here flows upward to him. Like water. Like money. Like people.
Amara said. She said the last word the way someone says a word they have trained themselves not to flinch at. "This morning's meeting," Marcus said. "Who are we meeting?"
a man named Ade.
Amara said.
He works the shipping manifests at the Port Authority. He has been skimming documentation records for 2 years, taking copies of manifests that don't match what was actually loaded onto ships.
She paused.
He is also very frightened,
Amara said. He should be, Marcus said.
Yes,
Amara said simply.
he should be, but he came to me anyway, which means he has either found his courage or he has found his desperation.
She glanced at Marcus again.
In my experience, those are the same thing.
Amara said. They met Aid in the back room of a tea house near Lagos Island, a thin man in his 40s who had the look of someone who hasn't slept properly in months. He had a manila envelope on the table in front of him, his hands flat on top of it like a man trying to hold down something that might fly away.
You are the American.
Aid said to Marcus. I am, Marcus said.
The one who went to prison for what Castellan did.
Aid said.
Yes.
Marcus said. Aid studied him for a long moment. Then something shifted in his eyes. Not trust exactly, but recognition. The recognition of one ruined man for another.
I have a daughter.
Aid said quietly.
She is 9 years old.
He looked down at the envelope.
Last year, I saw a manifest for a container that listed the cargo as medical equipment, bound for Rotterdam. But the weight was wrong. The dimensions were wrong.
He stopped.
I opened the container.
Aid said. The room was very quiet. What did you find? Marcus asked.
23 people,
Aid said.
packed like they were not people.
His voice cracked on the last word, and he steadied it with visible effort.
11 of them were children.
Aid said.
I reported it.
Aid continued.
To my supervisor, to the Port Authority, to the Federal Police Liaison. 3 days later, my supervisor called me into his office and told me the container had been inspected and cleared, that my report was the result of a misunderstanding.
Aid said.
He had new cufflinks that day. Very nice ones.
Aid added. Marcus felt something cold move through him. New cufflinks. Like Raymond Fitch. Like every man who had been bought and was trying not to show the price tag.
What's in the envelope?
Marcus asked.
Everything.
Aid said.
2 years of manifests, weights, routing numbers, the shell company names.
He slid the envelope across the table.
It goes from Lagos to Rotterdam, yes, but also to Bangkok, also to Buenos Aires, also to a port in Maryland that I think you know.
Aid said. Marcus picked up the envelope.
What do you want in return?
Marcus asked.
I want my daughter to grow up in a world where the man who did this is in a cage.
Aid said.
And if that is not possible,
He looked at Marcus steadily.
then I want the next best thing.
Aid whispered. Marcus held the man's gaze. He understood exactly what Aid meant by the next best thing.
We'll get justice.
Amara said quietly. Aid looked at her, then at Marcus. Something moved across his face. Not hope exactly, but the ghost of it.
Be careful who you trust.
Aid said.
The man you are hunting, he does not only own judges and police.
He stood, pulling his jacket close.
He owns journalists. He owns aid workers. He owns people who call themselves reformers.
Aid said. A long pause.
He even owns some of the people who are hunting him.
Aide whispered. He walked out without looking back. Marcus and Amara sat in silence for a moment. He even owns some of the people who are hunting him, Marcus repeated slowly. Amara didn't look at him. She was looking at the door where Ad had gone.
Yes,
Amara said.
I know.
Is that a warning? Marcus asked.
It's a fact.
Amara said.
In this world, the line between hunter and hunted is not a line at all.
She finally looked at him.
It's a circle,
Amara said. Outside, Lagos was roaring and churning in the morning heat. Somewhere in this city, 23 people who had been packed into a container had arrived somewhere they did not choose to go. And somewhere in Washington, in Brussels, in the marble corridors of justice, Victor Castellan was being described as a visionary, a philanthropist, a man of extraordinary conscience. Marcus held the envelope against his chest and walked out into the heat. He had a name. He had 2 years of shipping manifests. He had a woman with intelligent eyes and a scar she hadn't explained yet. And he had nothing left to lose. Which, he was beginning to understand, was the most dangerous thing in the world to be. End of Part 1. Coming in Part 2, The Underground. Rotterdam. A container port at midnight. Nadia Reyes, alive, armed, and furious. A senator's dinner party where every handshake costs a life. And the moment Marcus Vane discovers that the man he trusts most is the one he should fear.